Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Psychic Realm Podcast. I'm your host, Psychic Medium Angelo, joined tonight by my co-host with the mostest. This is Psychic Shirley Bolstock. How you doing, Shirley?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Shirley, I am so good that it almost should be a crime. There should be like two of them. I am really, I'm celebrating no mask anymore in New Jersey. Officially Memorial Day. No longer masks are required. Well, in some selected stores, hospitals, of course, will still require masks, but I can go to my grocery store and not have to wear my mask.
Isn't it nice? What a freedom, God.
So we're celebrating,
no mask day.
We're celebrating a return. We're celebrating a return to common sense by Governor Phil Murphy. So kudos to you, Phil. Good job on this one. I'll give you credit.
Yeah.
And our resident lovable love bug, her name is Marianne Howard, and she is the co-author of this fabulous little work, this tiny little pamphlet, like the New York City phone directory. Shadow of a Base Man tells the story of the life, death, and replacement of Paul McCartney as told through Paul's eyes. And if you want to know how they did that, buy the book and read it. So on Amazon, you can download. Can they download a copy?
They can download Kindle Share is free, and the ebook is a lot less than purchasing the paperback. But I always like to read a book myself.
Yeah, that's how
I like the feel of it. Yeah.
I like the book in my hand.
Absolutely. Yeah, me too.
So, Mary, we haven't
to go outside and read. Yeah, I know. I missed you guys.
What have you been up to?
Nothing much. Writing. We're working on the sequel to The Shadow of a Base Man, and we got 14 chapters in the.
Working. I want to hear what the hell you've been up to.
Yeah, we're working. 14 chapters are sort of in the can, so we're getting there. Getting into a lot more stuff.
It's a task. Every time I ask Marianne Howard a question, it's a task. Oh my God! Because Marianne,
I have to run around the bush.
She just can't give a straight answer. Bless her heart.
So she's got an answer of longevity. It's
exactly. Now, I'm glad that you're back with us. We missed you. We've had an interesting show. I don't know if you saw the show, Marianne, but we had a television comedy writer and producer, Mark Sotkin, was here from Golden Girls and Laverne and Shirley, among other things, the Gary Shandling show. He will be back with us. I confirmed this today, Shirley. He'll be back on June the 8th.
Perfect.
And we're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to talk about what you and I do.
Okay.
We're going to find out a little bit more about Mark, but then I think we may hit him from both ends of the psychic spectrum.
We can do that.
Poor guy.
And he will be psyched out.
Yeah, he will be. I think it's going to be good. I actually had a miniature reading with him today, and so I got his curiosity going. I'm going to do a full reading for him. I won't announce when or why I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do a reading for him prior to him coming on the show. That's all I'll say.
That would be very interesting to see how. That gives him a very good idea how we all work and what we do.
Yeah, and he was actually, believe it or not, Shirley, it was his idea.
I believe him.
It was his idea.
He was very curious.
He said he'd like to have a reading before he comes on. So we chose for tonight's subject one that's near and dear to all of us. This is an issue, especially in this day and time.
Yes.
The idea, Shirley, of secret societies. Now, we had our fill of conspiracy shows, and of course, wherever there's a conspiracy, Marianne, there's always a little bit of legs to it, some truth to make it run. But the whole idea of secret societies has been around for a really, really long time. Long before the internet generation, long before, everybody was all smartened up to everything that's going on in the world, because God knows everybody's an expert on everything now.
Of course. Because they read
even
it.
if they're not, they are. But long before there were Encyclopedia Britannicas and the internet, there were secret societies plotting and perusing the world for what little nick or chunk of power they would like to have, or what their purpose
is. A piece of the pie.
Yeah, exactly, Mayor, right?
Yeah. So
let me just give you an idea. Now, Shirley, before I do this, let me go to you, and then I'll go to Marianne. Okay. Your introduction to secret societies, in earnest, when did it develop?
I think it actually came in about the late 70s, and much bigger in the 1980s.
What was it that prompted that? What particular event happened?
I fell into a group of people that actually had a lot more knowledge of what was going on in the world at the time. And they were like updating me, introducing me to some different concepts and ideas, and we know that even Illuminati was back in Germany, back in the, 18th century. I mean, these have been going on to control the planet, the blue bloods. This whole thing has been going on for, oh my God, millenniums. But I was starting to learn more about what was going on with different governments. I was hearing things about different secret societies, hearing things how different politicians would come up in the same graduating class. They would join the same skull and crossbones.
Interesting stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like that. That's interesting. Mayor, your introduction into the world of secret societies, when and how, and
I'm going to go back to
what was your entree into it?
I'm going to go back to the 60s as being a little kid. My dad and my grandfather, one of my older cousins, they were all members of the Elks Club, which when you start into the clubs of these, where you're member only and mostly men, white men predominantly were running these societies. And they went up through the ranks till they became the, exalted ruler. I think it was what they were called. And then I had an uncle that was a Shriner, but I didn't understand the Shriners and the Masons and all that at the time. I just knew that he was up there in our area. So
sure. Well, your knowledge of the Shriners at the time. See, I will tell you in full disclosure, the Shriners, when I was a little kid, were very, very hands-on in getting me the medical help I needed when my father couldn't. I will tell you that they are an amazing group of people. Yes, they are legit a secret society, but they're a hiding in plain sight.
They brought at least in this area, we had the circus came every year, and it was the Shriner Circus that came here. Their building.
I remember.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You see the sign behind me. Our banner tonight says the Surreal World of Secret Societies. And in many ways, it really is kind of a surreal existence. These people, and I say these people parenthetically, they live by a whole set of standards that's Greek to us, that we don't understand. It's foreign on every level. I think, however, now because of the influx of knowledge we all have, the internet certainly have many more avenues of information available. We're now getting a little peek behind the proverbial curtain. We now know what the wizard looks like, and I think we know who some of the people are pulling the strings, of the puppet. So, the puppet being whoever's in charge of the White House for that particular 4 years.
Predetermined.
Exactly. Well, we're going to talk about that because I'm going to lay some bomb on you tonight.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I am. I found something else. It kind of made me do one of these jobs. Yeah. So, let's just talk a little bit about some of these secret societies. I'm going to throw some names at you guys, and then we'll talk about what they actually do. the Knights Templar, the Freemasons, Skull and Bones, the Illuminati, Bilderberg Group, the Council of Nine, the Council of Nicaea, the National Program Office, the Ancient Order of the United Workmen. Bet you didn't hear about that one before.
No, that one's a new one.
The Bohemian Grove, the Bohemian Club, and the Committee of 300. Now, those are the names. Do you know what they do? Let's take maybe a couple at a time. What is, Mary Ann, I'll go to you because I'm going to go to Shirley after you. What is your knowledge of what the Freemasons do and who they are?
Well, locally, it seems like they're another one of these clubs that, you know, people join because their family joined and whatever. But as they go up in degrees, they become more of a secret society, and they have their own agendas, and we're not privileged to knowing what all they are into. And I understand there might be even another level from beyond the 33 degrees that goes up to the 66.
There is actually, in fact, the highest level is 66. 6 is a very important number in Freemasonry. It ties in, and it has nothing to do, by the way, with the Antichrist. It has nothing to do with Satan or demonology. It
like
has
numbers.
to do with power. 6 is a power number.
Right.
7 is the number of completion, but 6 is a power number. Well, if you're into numerology, we'll explain that. We can, Mary Ann, we can talk about numerology on this show.
9.
Absolutely. Tonight we can do that, but never when we're talking about the Bible. But so here's the deal. You've got all these groups with some agenda. I'll give, like, for example, you know, the Freemasons, it's my understanding, they were established in 1717 to teach moral and ethical lessons such as cardinal virtues, fortitude, temperance, patience, justice, and the principles of brotherly love and morality and truth. Now, was that your idea of what the Freemasons were? That comes directly from their bylaws, by the way.
Yeah.
I got my hands on a copy.
That's for the lower degrees then, right? Sure, not for the upper degrees.
Well, it doesn't say. It's just that that's in their bylaws. That and it wasn't easy to get, and I had to, you know, you can go online and get it, but you're not going to get the whole thing. But I got the whole thing. That's just a snippet, this much of the iceberg, and there's a whole lot left. Trust me when I tell you. So, yeah, and I had no idea that these people were like that. That's what their initial motivation was. Now it's all, I think it's a power grab, Shirley. What would you say to that, Cheryl?
I said, anytime you see money, you're going to see a secret society that's going to go with it, because that's who they are. That's just how they identify, because they think power makes you someone.
Yeah.
And they never want to lose their power. So they're going to do everything they can to protect it, everything they can to keep it, everything they can to keep it in the generations. And very interesting, as I started to look through a lot of these different type of societies, they're always about morality. And it's the last thing I often see. They talk about morality, and it's like they're a cult, and they've got bylaws for their own cult.
You know, it's funny how you think. I love the way you think, because we're on that level. As she's batting her eyes again.
I have something in them.
Smart ass.
Okay.
The Knights Templar. Listen to this one.
Sure.
The original name of the Knights Templar were called the Poor Fellow Soldiers of Christ and the Temple of Solomon. Okay? They were established in 1119 in Jerusalem. They were expressly formed. Listen to this. The purpose was to protect the pilgrim states from tyranny and oppression from warring factions. They quickly evolved into a much more secret organization with a much more nefarious purpose, which was to fight private wars on behalf of the church.
Church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that Celtic cross they wear, that's no accident. And it's almost blatant in its symbolism. They're telling everybody, they're hiding in plain sight too. You know, it's the most visible secret organization still. And by the way, they're still here. Go ahead, sure, you're laughing. Go ahead.
Well, I think it's hilarious. They're on our monies. I mean, right? I mean, you see the eye of Horus right there on the, you know, on the dollars, and all kinds of other really cool symbols that you could look up that, you know, aren't having anything to do with the United States particularly, but they have to do a lot with the Freemasonry. And even though maybe part of our founding, you know, fathers that came in that used a lot of that imagery.
Right.
I can tell you that I can trace my heritage and my family directly back to the Templars. That's without question and documented. We have an entire family tree that placed us smack dab in the middle of the Templars.
It's very interesting. Now, didn't they open up the first banks, though, Angelo?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
they actually were. And they actually, it's funny, I'm glad you said that. Because one of the other secret societies, surprise, surprise, Wall Street in New York. Wall Street was considered a secret society. And it was founded in the early 17th century with the help of Templar money, by the way, for the purpose to consolidate an area of free trade and commerce. It was not intended for people to do business on Wall Street. This was a money center strictly for loaning and payback. Loan and payback. It had nothing to do with buying commodity. They were essentially, and I'm going to put it in our terminology, legal loan sharks. That's what.
That's exactly what it reminded me of when you said that. Loan and payback. Loan and payback. What interest rate?
They were, legal loan sharks. Exactly. Some of these organizations that we thought we knew, maybe we don't know so much.
Right. Well, and you said the church a few times, and you know, the church was the original. Well, maybe one of the original secret societies, because they had to hide from Caesar and from Nero and whoever else was back there in that day.
Well, Mayor, it's funny that you say that. The Council of Nicaea. We all know, if you follow history and the Bible, and if you know the connection to theology and religion, and Shirley, we just talked about this.
Yes, we did.
The Council of Nicaea was responsible for overseeing the formation of the Bible, right? The text of the Bible. The interesting thing, it was headed up by Pope Constantine. And they estimate between 9 and 12 other people, right? They only picked and choose the text that they wanted to, that fit their agenda.
Right.
Okay? The Bible, for all intents and purposes, was supposed to be a secret book. It was never supposed to get out. It was never supposed to get out. They were never supposed to be published. They were never supposed to be distributed. It was a handbook for how to do business. That's what it was.
And they were passed and handed down too, weren't they? The old, I mean, because they were not. Yeah.
Exactly. The stories were told, written down, and passed along. But at some point, enough text was available to constitute a book. But again, it was the book that they picked and chose. It's a lot of stuff missing from it. There's an entire book that the Catholics put together called the Apocrypha. There's like 22 extra books in that one. There's a book called the Book of Q that predates the Bible. It's called the Book of Q. It's 1,900 pages of original Aramaic text with almost the same stuff the Bible has.
Right.
These follow the books of Enoch and all those other lost books.
Right.
Yeah.
Book of Enoch is the most popular, I think, that people are aware it's missing. They don't know what it is, but it's missing.
I have a copy of the lost books in the Bible. It's very interesting to look through. And
Yeah.
you know, there's as much great information in there that I have found in the Bible, even more so, even more answers that I was looking for in particular.
Well,
areas.
and that's, believe it or not, the Council of Nicaea was a secret society. It was a secret organization. Wall Street, that was the one that blew me. It really like popped me on that one. I said, Wall Street, really? It's like the most visible commerce center in the world, but it was supposed to be a secret. Imagine that. It was supposed to be a secret.
Weren't we, Angelo, as our Italian heritage, isn't that a secret society as well? You know what I'm talking about, right, Gumba?
Yeah. Absolutely. La Cosa Nostra.
Yeah.
It's actually, let's get that straight right away. So here's what we're going to say. We can't say La Cosa Nostra. We have to say Cosa Nostra, because the literal translation of La Cosa Nostra means the our thing. And that makes no sense. Cosa Nostra means our thing. Literally translated, this thing of ours. That's what it means. Cosa Nostra is on my list, by the way, too. The Mafia.
The Mafia.
Yes.
Mafia. Absolutely.
I have an Uncle Guido. We used to like to say that.
Right.
My father used to joke, you know, as we grew up Jewish, you know, the kosher Nostra.
Yeah, kosher Nostra. Yeah, well, they used to call the Jewish mafia the kosher Nostra.
Yeah. That's right.
And I actually have a guy. It's funny. Let's talk about this for a second. I have a guy coming on the show. He's a demonologist. He is a former, you're going to love this one. He's a former mafia enforcer turned rabbi.
Oh, my.
Turned demonologist. It's a dear friend. His name is Ronnie Kirshner. Ronnie Kerner. I'm sorry. Ronnie Kerner is, you know, a good old Jewish boy from Brooklyn, you know, that got himself wrapped up in the rackets, you know, and he is now fighting the devil hands on. He's a demonologist, and
is that like an exorcist?
He is a legit exorcist.
Okay.
He's a credentialed exorcist. Yes. You can't make this shit up. I keep telling people every week.
I know.
The people I know.
The people in Angelo's world, we just are mates.
Yeah, you can't. I say every time. You can't. Shirley, you hear me every week. Yes, I go, is this thing on? Yes, it's on.
So what do they do? Go to exorcism school, you know, and get...
He went to divinity school. He was a rabbi. Yeah.
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 And there are some parts of the church where, you know, I guess it's not known, but I mean, they do go into teaching them how to do exorcisms. I mean, it's one of those things they don't talk about, but they do it.
Yes.
Oh, I got news for you, Mary. That's that's a whole show all by itself.
Yeah.
I don't even want to get started on that one tonight. Because we could go off the rails in a heartbeat. You know me. So
you know about exorcism.
Shirley, what do you know, Shirley, about the National Program Office?
The National Program Office. Wow. I'm going to have to take a guess at that one. Not a lot. I would think that there is somebody that keeps all kinds of programs legitimate that are probably underground. That's the only thing I would venture to guess.
Mayor, you work in government?
Yeah.
What do you know about the National Program Office?
Not a thing. That's how secret it is.
Let me tell you who they were and who they are now. The National Program Office was a branch of the U.S. government, a legit branch, established to ensure the continuity of government in the event of a national disaster. It was established by a secret executive order signed by Ronald Reagan, Executive Order number 55, on September 14th, 1982. It is now referred to as the National Reconnaissance Office, and now they have a website. Again, secret organizations hiding in plain sight.
Yeah.
Because remember what I said, Shirley, everybody's got a website.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true.
The other one that came as a surprise to me, and I've never heard of it, I'm wondering if either of you have. It's called the Ancient Order of the United Workmen. Do you have any idea what that is? Just like take a guess. I found out about this group called the United Order
United
of
Workmen.
Hmm?
Wasn't that a union, United Workers?
It was a legit union, yeah. Go ahead.
That's,
You're there. Go ahead.
I'm there, so I'm thinking it's the steel workers. It's the laborers. No, I'm going off the wrong way.
You're almost there. Let me tell you, because it's really interesting. It's called the Ancient Order of the United Workmen. They were founded in 1868, and they provided financial protection. Listen to the way I'm going to word this. This is from their bylaws, directly from their bylaws, providing financial protection for working class people. Okay, now Goomba. Who does that sound like?
Well, yeah, it sounds like the mafia coming around.
It sounds like the mob, doesn't it?
You're paying them off to protect your business.
That's exactly what it was, Mary.
A legitimate insurance company, right?
That don't laugh, but let me tell you.
I know. I laugh. just to laugh.
They were. I'm going to read this. They were established. They were established legally in 1879 as the first United States insurance company. I can't make this shit up. You can't. You can't. A secret society, again, that became hiding in plain sight, and now they're a part of everyday life. Insurance companies, what do you pay them for? You pay them for protection.
Yeah. Just in case you're going.
Because we have to, and we don't get any benefits out of it.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, you're paying for just in case.
Favorite, there's a couple here. There's a couple here that fall under Angelo's favorites. So I want to ask Shirley. Shirley, old psychic Shirley Bostock.
I'm looking.
What do you know about the Bohemian Grove?
I want to go there.
It was a wild party last Saturday. No, I'm just kidding.
You actually can go there if you've got $25 million for the entrance fee.
So this is
in a
like
long list.
Is this an elite type of country club, kind of a country club type of thing that, very elite type? Is it an island that they actually own also?
No, it is.
I think I heard something.
The Bohemian Club, Bohemian Grove, is located just outside of San Francisco, California, in a place called Monterey, California. They are 1,300 acres of the most densely wooded redwood trees in America, and California's loaded with them. The Bohemian Club, let me tell you, was founded in 1872. It is, quote, and I quote, where the rich and powerful go to misbehave, unquote. Yeah. Their mission statement from their own text, their mission statement: to escape uncivilized interest, and their membership includes 29 past U.S. presidents, 141,000 musicians, 29,000 oil barons, and more than 4 million artists.
Yeah.
Of people who are actual members of the Bohemian Club.
But do they all show? They don't all show up though on their weekend getaway.
Let me tell you what happens. That's a very good point, Mary. See, she doesn't speak much, but when she does, these gems roll out.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what they do. The Bohemian Club official hub is in the redwood forest of Northern California, Monterey, California, outside of San Francisco. They have satellite, imagine that, satellite locations throughout the world. France, Germany, Italy, England, Ireland, Scotland, literally every country on the planet has a Bohemian Grove
I see.
Okay.
So what's offered in these hubs?
So are they doing the same July weekend?
They are only men.
Yeah.
All male.
I'm getting it. Okay.
Well, no, you haven't.
Women have never been and will never be allowed to participate, to witness, or to join the Bohemian Club. They're just not allowed. Your question there.
Me? I
don't. Yeah, you look like you had a question.
No, it's just because it's their July event where they have these high, rich and famous people showing up to their grove and their club or whatever, and the atrocities that is sort of leaking out, that things that happen there.
You hear about it.
Well, hear about it. Have you guys, you know who Alex Jones is, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw his
Go
event
on YouTube and look at the video that Alex Jones smuggled out of the Bohemian Grove. It's the only known video in existence, and it's out there.
Yeah.
Finally, thankfully, it's out there. The only known video in existence to record and document the
bizarre
frivolity. I'll be kind. I'll say frivolity. I was going to say the decadent depravity of these slimeball, scumball, dirtbag millionaires playing, hide the salami with each other, because that's basically what they're doing,
dressing up like ladies and whatever.
Yeah, dressing up as women and having all male escorts brought in, male prostitutes by the busloads.
They have a thing with these trees too, I heard. I watched Alex. I watched that, Alex.
There was a picture that got out. It got out, and he finally had to admit what it was all about. Bill Clinton wearing full regalia. Mayor?
No, he's on the couch and
on the couch.
Yeah,
yes.
In a blue dress or something.
In a blue dress.
That was Monica's dress.
No, it wasn't.
This was different type of material.
Harry.
Oh Lord.
I'm leaning over here at my mic.
Yeah, you should pull that picture up.
At my microphone, which is usually visible, is off to the side now. And I'm finding myself leaning over to the side to talk, even though I know.
You're fine though. Your voices come through fine.
Yeah, it's sounding really good. Yeah.
Yeah, my wife often tells me you shut up. Too loud. No, I love my wife. But so let's talk about it. That's one of my favorite is the Bohemian Grove. Shirley, what do you know about the Bohemian Grove?
You know what? This is something that I don't know as much about but I've seen pictures here and there. But, you have so many this kind of thing going on now. You don't know what to attribute it to. But it sounds to me like it's just men dressing up in maids' outfits and, doing all kinds of whatever you call it, whatever they want. Yeah.
Absolutely. Mayor, when did you become aware of Bohemian Club?
I honestly don't know. It's just something I've come across and have knowledge of. And I find it fascinating, especially because it is the leaders of the world and this is what they're doing. And you know.
They're tired of being proper, political
Well, but
figures.
they're also, isn't this the same place though when it came about that they came out with, they set in policy and world affairs through their
remember at the beginning of the show, Marianne, I said I had a bomb to drop?
Yeah.
Okay, let me tell you, you're right on target with it. So here's what I'm going to tell you. Every election since 1947 was chosen in advance. Every president since that time was picked in advance. And some of them were picked as president before they themselves even knew.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. They were told. Yeah.
2 cases in point. 2 in point. Gerald Ford was one. Okay. The other may surprise you. Who would you think? Maybe I'll take a guess.
Well, I was thinking it's Ronald Reagan and Richard Nixon. It was the toss-up of who was going to go that year. That's what I have an understanding of.
That was the word. But yeah, you're along there. But go ahead, Cheryl. Who do you think that might have been?
We're talking a little more recent.
Or are you going back to Kennedy?
I didn't say I was going back anywhere.
I'm just trying to figure out where we're going with. Yeah.
When it really comes to mind, because I think so many were picked for so many different reasons.
It was Barack Obama.
It was Barack Obama. Okay, I thought of it. Yeah. Okay, I thought it was him or LBJ.
Like, where did everybody even says? Where did he come from when he showed up in whenever he did that?
He came out of nowhere.
And I think Marianne and Cheryl, we may have had all of us, the 3 of us, may have actually had that conversation on the show. Yeah. I seem to remember us having that conversation about him coming out of like literally nowhere.
Nowhere.
Well, he was chosen. He didn't even know what their plan was until he became president. Until shortly before he became president. Okay. They made that happen for him. They made that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Joe Biden became president. They made that happen.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
You got to have deep pockets to buy that kind of money. To buy that kind of influence. You got to have a lot of scratch in your pocket to buy that kind of influence. Well, they bought a lot of influence, brother. Let me tell you something, a lot. Because if you look at what happened during this most recent election, it's like something out of a storybook. It's fantasy. You wouldn't believe it that this could ever happen. Okay? The Bohemian Club picks and chooses the president. Let me tell you what else they do. Where is it? Here we go. Hot damn. They are also a think tank for the elite, the rich, and powerful. Let's talk about them, because Marianne was on to something when she was talking about Nixon and Reagan. You know why Nixon and Reagan were there during the early 1960s, just prior to Richard Nixon becoming president. Ronald Reagan in 1968 was this close to becoming president.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that. Marianne, kudos to you for knowing that, because unless you have done your homework, you wouldn't have known. So you actually did your homework. I'm proud of you.
Was it? Yeah.
Thank you, Angela.
Yeah.
Wasn't Nixon actually the winner of the election in 1960, but they bought in to get Kennedy in?
Joseph Kennedy had a lot of money. And Joseph Kennedy had a lot of connections. He had a lot of Italian connections, capisce?
Yeah.
Yes.
The Irish brought over the Italians. Wasn't it also that the Nixon and Kennedy debate, Kennedy came across because it was a televised event, or wasn't that and it swayed a little bit.
He came across as more TV friendly. Here's the thing. that people don't understand about John Kennedy. He wasn't liked.
No.
Yeah.
He wasn't liked. They had to pay people to show up at rallies. They paid people to show up at rallies for him.
Didn't Hillary do that?
Where does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
It should.
Beatles, yes.
It should.
Got him
Let's
screaming.
remember recent history.
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter.
Right.
Were
Hillary.
paid. They were paid protesters.
Yep.
They were paid to be there.
Yeah. Antifa, BLM. They're all, yeah.
Oh,
They were paid to
paychecks.
be there.
And they stayed in very nice hotels, and
Oh,
and
they stayed in all the best.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now, those are some of the secret societies. Now let's get into a little meat and potatoes conversation about secret societies. You know, in anything, and Shirley, I think you and I may have had this discussion, but in anything, there's a bit of truth and some conjecture, but there's also some benefit. It's not always negative. I'll give you an example. When you and myself and Marianne were talking about MK Ultra, some of the experiments that they did actually had legitimate medical benefit that helped people. In fact, a lot of people were helped by some of the MK Ultra experiments. So it wasn't all, doom and gloom, and it wasn't all debauchery.
It wasn't all control.
So take just for shits and giggles, as we say here in Jersey, take an organization that I've mentioned and give me the ups and downs, the pros and cons. Tell me where you think an organization like I'll pick one for you.
Okay.
Tell me if you think there's some benefit to the National Program Office.
Well, I would think that with this National Program Office, the benefit would be probably controls of the monies, probably control of the fundings, probably control of what is being looked at as where do we investing monies, what would be the best, and they may even build on something that they're already creating the structure that they make it look like that this has been something that's been around for a while. This is something very good to invest in, and then they create it from the money that they bring in, saying that the money was already there. So I think,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It sounds to me like it's an information dissemination thing too, where they can control what they want people to know.
I will give you the perfect example of that, Marianne. The perfect example of that. The United States government, in conjunction with China, created a vaccine for a disease that they had already intended to release to the public. They had it already in vials. They had this disease ready to be, remember, it's airborne. How do you hit a lot of people all at one time if you want to get them all sick?
Chemtrails.
And it's an airborne disease. What do? Hello, chemtrails.
Yep.
Okay. Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's a chemtrail. For years, they've been doing this. We've gotten so used to seeing them in the sky. Oh, well, it's just a chemtrail. But then when they put a little packet of goodies inside that chemtrail mix, something called COVID-19, and they spread it around. How do you think it got from China to here in 2 weeks? It didn't take the boat. It didn't take the boat. It didn't fly over. It flew in and over.
Yeah. And there's people now that think that they had COVID before it was even a thing.
I know I did. I can prove it. I can document it.
Yeah.
My doctor's got the papers.
Well, not only that, they were hiring
what happened.
at FEMA and all this stuff for pandemic. They were doing pandemic drills, and they were already hiring employees before any of this got known about.
Well, and it was in the movies and everything too. So if it's in the movies, it's a predestined event.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you what the giveaway was. COVID was stored in Fort Knox. That's factual. Okay. I'm not supposed to know this, but I know this. Why? Because I'm a psychic. It's what I do. And I'm real good at what I do. And so COVID was stored at Fort Knox, among other facilities. Wuhan, China, for sure. Absolutely. The other thing you need to know is when they release something like that, okay, it's good cop, bad cop. They got this evil disease from this wicked country, right? China's the bad guy now, so we got to be the good guy. Of course we are. We had the vaccine already stored before the disease was put out. Do you think, I mean, think about this. They announced as soon as a new president is elected, they announced they have a vaccine.
Yeah.
Do you think that was like, come on?
Where's their 10 years of trials and FDA?
What time do you think I was born last night?
Yeah, last night.
You know, what time do I look like I was born last night?
And people aren't making the connection. That's crazy. And yeah, suddenly politically, it's in the political.
Here's
arena.
the thing, though. Here's the thing. Nobody gives a shit.
No, but the thing is, it was a bad thing when Trump was talking about it. It wasn't a good. The vaccines weren't a good thing, and they weren't being tried, and there was no.
all political.
And then all of a sudden, it's a good thing, and let's get them out. We got to get 70%, vaccinated. And
think about something.
Where's your trials?
Who is the? Listen to what I'm going to say here. Who is the one constant between that administration and this one? Who's the one constant?
Fauci.
Yeah.
Hello, Dr. Anthony Fauci, a nice goomba.
Yeah, no.
It's been in Washington for 60 years. Hear what I'm saying? He's been for 60 years in Washington. Interestingly enough, Dr. Anthony Fauci also sits on the board of directors of that Wuhan lab where the vaccine was released from.
And we have patents already bought up. From, where they're making a ton of money.
But we're not supposed to know this.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But you know what? They're stupid because they're telling us. They're telling us.
It's a pure sight. And then they tell us we're not.
Plain sight.
Sure.
Okay?
You can't tell a bunch of researchers not to look at stuff. That's impossible.
If you've got a white figure on a white background, how do you distinguish it? Simple. Throw black paint at it.
Yeah.
Throw black paint at it. Hello.
Create some shadows.
I'm not just a handsome guy. I'm smart too. I'm kidding. I'm humble. Let's talk about another one of my favorite secret societies. And it's one we haven't given a lot of thought about here recently because they've been kind of quiet. The Bilderberg Group. Now, Shirley, what do you know about Bilderberg?
The Bilderberg Group is, to me, they're just kind of a front group to the Illuminati. I think that they're just more of a segregated part of them, really. Because I think they have a lot of the same aspirations. Yeah.
I would not argue with that. But they have, I think, a more nefarious agenda in mind, and I'll share that.
Don't you think that they're the same people that are part of the Go to Bohemian Grove? It's the same money elite.
They're connected.
No, not necessarily. No, I'm gonna tell you why. These people have something very. It's a shadow. If you want to call it, it's a shadow group. Yeah, for sure. Do they partake in some of the same circles? Yeah, for sure. Here's where I think the difference is. And it's the singular difference, I think, that makes all the difference. Established in 1954. So it's recent. But By the way, the same year MK Ultra was formed.
Right.
Established in 1954. The agenda is defined as bolstering a consensus around free market enterprise. It was initially to promote capitalism, particularly Western capitalism, around the world. Their bylaws have since been reformed to read as this: to promote and create a one world government and one world economy. That's Bilderberg. That's what makes them very, very dangerous.
Yeah.
That's what makes them very, very dangerous.
They're also one that does not allow the press or anybody else to be around when they're having their meetings. Is that right?
That is absolutely correct. One of the things about that surprised me about the Illuminati is that they are not a nefarious organization. I'm going to speak on behalf of the Illuminati. They are not an evil. Let's put it that way. They are a secular. They are a secular, but not evil. And let me explain that. The Illuminati, by its very name, illuminate, to enlighten, is to provide knowledge and consensus to people, to give them information, not to take it. The Bilderberg group is the stellar opposite. They don't want you to have information. They want to control the information, and they want to control the flow of that information. And they are doing so now by owning a vast majority of the media outlets, except for those who will not sell. They say everybody's got a price. Well, no, apparently everybody doesn't have a price. And some people would rather die than to fork over their hard-earned soul to a group of scumbags with a shit ton of money. You know, I mean, you know, it all depends on, I guess, your need for power, your need for money, or your need to maintain, you know, your sacred soul.
Families, aren't these a lot of very strong family ties that, you know, these different families are all,
the Committee of 300 is exactly that, Shirley.
Yeah.
Committee of 300 are all of the richest, most powerful families with names like Bilderberg, Rothschild, Rockefeller, DuPont, Bigelow, people like that. People that most of people have never heard of these names. Maybe they've heard of Rockefeller. Maybe they've heard of Rothschild. Certainly this generation that we live in, you'll be hard pressed if anybody knew who a Bigelow was or who a DuPont was.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, they would if they're in our area.
Marianne and I live in right in the hub of DuPont country. You know, they are one rich family, and they've never been poor. They've never been without. They have had their share of bad press. God knows that. They've had several murders within their family.
They kill each other off.
Know, killing each other off. Yeah, literally. I'm not even kidding. You can't make this stuff up.
That's true.
Really? How about it, Marianne?
That's true. Yeah, no, you're right. And they fund a local state from us in their state income tax, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's they call it the first state. You know, it's Delaware, the first state. There's no tax in Delaware. Very little tax on anything. You know, no, I think there's no income tax. There's no
income tax, no sales tax. Yeah, that's why everybody goes down to the beaches and goes shopping.
Yeah. Well, I'll confess, when I used to be a smoker, I used to drive 40 minutes from my house in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, to Wilmington, Delaware, to buy cartons and cartons of cigarettes.
I never even thought about that back in those days. We used to you used to do that to go bring alcohol and stuff too. It was
sure.
You know.
Yeah, well,
You know, the
I can't
college
comment
years.
on that. I can't comment on that. I have to be good.
You'd be good when you're
Yeah,
bad.
I know nothing about alcohol.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how these groups have infiltrated daily life and how it seems to me, and I'll just let you guys pick up on it, but it seems to me like these days, they don't really care whether they're a secret or not. I'm
No.
getting that impression. I really am.
The music industry doesn't care anymore. It seems like they're messaging all the time, and they're messaging pretty dark stuff.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, remember
And they're
what I
saying,
said before.
what are you going to do about it? You know, and they get support. They get support from these younger people who think it's cool and it's great, and
Yeah.
gives them even more money. And you know,
Yeah.
why
Well,
should
and
they
the
hide?
music's changed. I mean, all that going into the rap and the gangsta stuff and all that.
Well, it's funny
Just
when you and I, Marianne, were doing the Paul McCartney show. I almost said verbatim, kind of where you just went with it. You know, the people were worrying about, you know, MI5. I mean, you know, the what do you call that? The British intelligence was the
MI5.
MI5 it was called. That's right. And CIA here in this country.
Right.
You know, hiding in plain sight was one of the most notorious, prolific organizations, the music industry, hiding in plain sight with its crime, its syndicate of crime, with its hitmen. You know, and I don't mean just like, you know, hit, you know, on the top.
It's not
Billboard
hit on the
100.
top of the Billboard charts. No.
Yeah, no, this is a different kind of hit. You know,
kind of hits.
Yeah,
The kind of craze put out there.
Exactly. And one of the things that we talked about on that show was how powerful the music industry is. Again, it's one of those, we don't think of the music industry as a secret society, but I got news for you.
Yeah.
It may as well be.
Who owns them?
Tavistock.
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
The same people that own all these media outlets, all this Bilderberg money. You know, that would be my consensus. I would say, if I were to venture a guess, and I think it's a pretty good guess, that all the money's coming from the same source.
Right.
You know.
So you're saying it's not the Illuminati, it's the Bilderbergs, but it's sort of in the same line of
the Illuminati.
So the messaging is not where we're thinking it's from.
Well, I would say, I would put it this way. I would put the danger element on Bilderberg for sure. I would put the secularism on the Illuminati.
Okay.
They do their recruiting, like, you know, we control everything, and there's nobody that's a part of the Illuminati that's not poor, and we take care of each other, and it's like a club where they all take care of each other. It's an elitist club, and you're gonna, and if you're not a part of that, you're gonna suffer because you're not gonna have the information, you're not gonna have the money.
Well, so Shirley went right there.
Where are you two putting this when it comes to the satanic aspect of it? Where is that?
And that's going to tie right into what Shirley said, believe it or not, because there is another organization that does directly tie into the Bilderberg group and Satanism, and involves power and money and a lot of U.S. presidents. It's called the Skull and Bones Society.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Marianne, what do you know about Skull and Bones?
Yale.
Harvard.
Yale, Harvard has their own, and they all have their own secret societies for that were the fraternities that had the elite of the fraternities. They're above and beyond that.
They're prepped for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they're the children that are coming up through the elite that get ushered into that world.
It's the next generation of power.
Yep.
It's the next generation of spoiled, rotten, rich kids.
Yep.
You know,
get away with anything they want.
And I think, and this is my belief based on what I think about the Bible and where I think we're going with that, ties into secret societies very directly, particularly the Masonics. I believe that the Antichrist, the true Antichrist, is going to rise up out of skull and bones. I believe that absolutely. That's where the
They've been
money is.
priming.
That
That's where-
particular
for a
group
long time.
itself, or any of those kinds of groups, just or that one in particular. Like Harvard has a different name for their skull and bones is a
Right.
different-
Yeah, well, they all have various names for it, but
But you're saying that type of
generalize it-
environment.
yeah, but for the sake of the conversation, Marianne, to generalize it, I'm going to call it skull and bones,
Okay.
but it's the university system, we'll call it.
Okay.
You know, yeah, they all have their version of
Right.
skull and bones, their own secret society, for sure. No debating it, no doubt about it, for absolute certain.
So they're grooming.
What they
they're
call
grooming
it
someone.
is a matter of whatever they call it. The
Right.
most notable, because remember, we've become aware of secret societies when someone in a secret society gets pissed off and spills the beans.
Right.
Okay? That's how we know about Skull and Bones. That's how we know about Bilderberg, the Illuminati, the Council of Nine. The let's see what else. Oh God, there was I
Well,
had a
that's
shit list. But you
CFR.
understand what I'm saying? Yeah, but you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's always that whistleblower that says, "Fuck this shit, I'm going to tell somebody." Right?
That's all it
And
takes.
most of the time, they've gotten killed. You never heard from them again.
Yep.
Now
And they
they're not
discredit
getting
them.
killed. They're finding safe haven. Perfect example. You know, again, a secret. I got to call it a secret society because it pretty much is. This place called Area 51.
Yeah.
You may as well call it a secret society. It's
Sure.
hiding in plain sight. Remember, it doesn't exist, but it's
It's
but you can
there.
see it-
It's there.
But
Well,
you
they're
can
doing
see
a
it
lot
on
of-
Google Earth. Yeah.
Yeah, they're getting away with all kinds of, different technologies, experiments, and
Oh
it's
my
just,
God, please, yeah. And then
Between
this
Roswell and-
squirrely, well,
Yeah.
then this squirrely guy named Bob Lazar, a college dropout, dorky looking dude with glasses, looking like Poindexter. Where have we heard that one before? Edward Snowden. Same kind of guy, hired by the CIA, an underachiever that did a lot of great work for the CIA because nobody would ever suspect him. He looked like a dope. Bob Lazar was the same way. But Bob Lazar got fed up. Apparently, so did Edward Snowden, and said, I'm going to get out of here, but I got to find somebody who's going to take me. Russia took Edward Snowden, and Bob Lazar cut a deal that kept him alive. I don't know what the terms of that deal were, but I know that they raid his house at least once a week. And you could just ask George Knapp about that. By the way, George Knapp, Shirley, is a New Jersey guy. He was born like literally 10 minutes from where I am right now.
Is that
Woodbury,
right? Wow.
New Jersey.
Oh.
Woodbury, New Jersey. That's where George Knapp is from. So let's talk about secret societies for a few more minutes, and then we'll promote everybody. So where do we go? Marianne, where do we go with the secret society? Are we still in that secretive bubble, or have we smartened up enough to go past it?
I think just like everything else, and when we're talking about any of this, that maybe 30% are awake to it and the rest are still sleeping.
Yeah.
Or they're
would
somewhere
say,
in between in there in that like fuzzy area.
you know what, Mary? It's interesting. You said 30%. I'm going to go higher. I'm going to say
40?
upwards of 60%.
Oh.
I'm going to say 60% or so are awake to it. I think there are a lot more people that are awake than people realize.
Yeah, that could be. They just don't say anything.
Well, and when they do, they make their voice very known. And they burn down buildings in Seattle.
Yeah.
You know where I'm going with that? Absolutely. That's where you, and Shirley knows where I'm going with that.
There's lots of buildings that got burned down and took down, right? So
Yeah, right. So Shirley, you want to put the exclamation on secret societies?
Well, here's the thing that I find very interesting. Polarization is a great tool for these secret societies, because the secret societies, most of them are pretty much all about money, power, and control. They've all got variations of it, and that's all they're into. But what they do is they polarize. They let the people do the work that exalt them by putting out certain bits of information, certain bits of brainwashing, taking the green group and turning them on the red group, taking the red group, turning them on the green group with the exact same deal in mind. They accuse each other of the exact same thing in order to exalt a one world government.
Shirley, where have we seen that recently?
Oh, God.
The 2020 election.
Yes.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Everything.
Huge.
Everything to the point. To the point. Everything you just said happened in 2020 election.
The Democrats
before,
are accusing,
during, and after.
Absolutely right. I saw the Democrats accusing the Republicans that were accusing the Democrats. They were, yeah, exact same thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I think that secret societies are not going anywhere. I think they're around. I think, however, they are going to be continually much less secret. I think they're going to be much more open and brazen and
yes,
out there with it. It's like Nikita Brezhnikov said on the show once, who's going to do anything about it?
About it.
Right.
You know, that's their
I think
mindset.
that's where they've,
that's
why the music industry has gone the way it has, and the blatancy, because there's, what are you going to do?
Exactly. To the point where some of the most incredibly talented artists have left the music industry and are promoting themselves by themselves on their own terms with their own money.
Right.
Yeah, I'll give you a perfect example of a guy doing that, Garth Brooks. He can afford to.
Mm-hmm.
Garth has a shit ton of money. He can do what he wants. He doesn't have to play a stadium full of 40 or 50,000 people. He could play a bar with 200 drunks in it if he wants. And guess what? He has.
For himself.
Yeah, he has, because he was here in New Jersey, and my wife and I, our aunt went to see him at the bar. And there were 75 people in the place with Garth Brooks up on the stage performing with his whole band. It's crazy. It's talk about a surreal moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a surreal moment.
Cool, you were there.
I'll tell you,
I was in one of those clubs.
Yeah, I'm sure, right, Mary?
Yeah.
Well, we have Shirley, we have a lot of stuff coming up. I want you to tell everybody some of the shows that we've got coming up. I gave you a hearty list of topics we're going to be doing, and so tell everybody what's coming up on the show in the upcoming weeks. Of course, we got the return of Mark Sotkin will be here on June the 8th. What else we got coming up?
The power of acting, the influence in the power of acting is coming up.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
That's going to be something.
I got a couple big ones for that one.
Yes, you do.
I got a couple big ones for that one. You don't even know about one of them yet.
Really?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can tune in.
I don't think so. You're good, but you ain't that
Closed
good.
his mind off to intruders.
No, you could tune all you want, but you ain't gonna. I'm switching the dial on you.
That's right.
I'm switching
you get
the
that
dial on
frequency out of my range, so I can't get in
now
there.
we've got a couple of really good shows coming up. Some of the things the subject matter we're going to approach and tackle are the Montauk Project. What really happened on Montauk Island? What's going on there now? We may even discuss the Montauk Monster, because I got my idea of what that might be. I think because
I'd like us to do that.
There were a couple of them that washed up, not just one. There were a couple, interestingly enough. Yeah. We're going to talk about, and they're right in line too, Shirley, with the chupacabra. That's a hybrid. We found out what that is now. The chupacabra. Hybrid between a wild wolf and a dog. That's all it is. But for decades, no one knew what the chupacabra was. It was a mystery. It just took one guy about 20 minutes to figure out through DNA what the hell it was.
How about that?
Hybrid.
Again, hiding in plain sight. Nobody bothered to do anything. It's just, the simple solution eludes us sometimes because we're used to looking for the complicated answer.
And the glamour,
What do I always say when it comes to the work I do? Simple, basic brass tacks. Nothing fancy. That's all. Keep it simple, stupid. That's it. I am the keep it simple, stupid. Shit. It's funny.
Bye, boy.
Sometimes I make myself laugh. Just humor me. Bear with me. Marianne, what's going on with this amazing little book, Shadow of a Baseman? Tell everybody what this book's about, where they can get it, and what's going on.
Well, the book's about the death and replacement of Paul McCartney, the rumors that started back in '69 of his death in '66, and why we feel this occurred and how it all came about. And now we're following that up with the sequel and continuation on into more in depth on how John was taken out, and eventually we'll get to George and all the other things that, what the government can and will do to cover things up. You brought up the Montauk Project. We sort of are touching on the Montauk Project in the new sequel. There's lots of twists and turns. It's a great book if somebody wants to read a good murder mystery.
Oh, hell,
and have a spin on it for the Beatles.
But I highly recommend it. In fact, we're going to put the Kindle link underneath the description of this show. So people, if they want a copy of it, they can download it onto their Kindle. We'll make it very easy for you. So you won't have to go searching. Right there. Absolutely.
Right.
Shirley, what else is going on with you, kiddo?
Oh, the same old. Let's see. I'm thinking, definitely looking forward to some of the new shows coming in. Looking at the... there's just so much going on so fast, but yet
we got so much coming up. We're going to do a show. We'll have an astronomer on the show. We're going to do a show about the moon. Is the moon a hollow satellite? Is it a planet, or was it put there deliberately and purposefully, as some people believe? Well, how do you put the moon there? It's been there forever, hasn't it? Well,
not necessarily.
Maybe. We'll see.
Wink, wink.
How infinite is our universe?
Some people claim we had 2 moons.
I have a feeling it's not as big as people think it is. I got news for you. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the idea that we did not actually land on that moon, by the way.
Right.
We're going to do a show called Did We Get There? It's about what I believe is the faked moon landings and how I believe that a famous Hollywood director had an awful lot to do with convincing America that we did get there.
Great production, huh?
His name is Stanley. Oh, God.
Kubrick?
Stanley Kubrick. Thank you. Oh, my God. I can't even believe I did that. I love that man. He's one of my favorite directors.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have a long day and just, brain fart.
Yeah.
But we've had a lot of response to the shows we do, and we're gonna create some controversy. That
We like
definitely,
stirring
I
the
think,
pot, right?
It's our jobs,
yeah.
you know, it's
You
our
know me,
jobs.
I'm not shy to stirring the
No,
pot. Sure.
no.
We're going to do definitely the moon is as a satellite. We're going to do for sure. Did we get there? About that, I have to do that one. I have to do it. The other thing we're going to do is an in-depth series, probably about a 3-part, maybe 4-part series on UFOs and Area 51. Particularly, I think, what did we say, Shirley? 3 or 4 that we were going to do.
I've started 3, but I'm sure it'll go into 4. You know, if there's so much.
Oh yeah, especially if I get the yapping the way it'll go into 4 real quick. We're going to do Area 51, UFO technology, reverse engineering, the whole ancient alien question. And I will tell people, I am trying. I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to put it out there publicly. I'm trying to get Giorgio Tsoukalos
It'd be
on the
fabulous.
show.
Yes.
He's the guy, if you don't know who Giorgio is, he's the guy with the crazy hair on Ancient Aliens. Just look for the wild hair guy. That's Giorgio.
There's 100 memes of him.
I'm going again. I'm going to try and reach out again to him. This is probably email number 4 or 5. I'm sure eventually he'll answer it if I bug him enough. But Marianne, you're looking awful stoic. What is it? You look like all of a sudden you're serious.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. I just sometimes like to go back to
she's thinking of George's hair, you know.
I actually, I don't even know if I've watched that show, maybe once. So is it sort of like a Kramer? It's a Kramer do, right?
Yeah. Whereas the blow drying it upside down,
sure.
he just sprays it till it stays that way.
And we're also going to do, is there a real planet Nibiru? We're going to do that. Planet X, they call it, Shirley. Nibiru.
In the where?
Who are the Anunnaki?
I know someone would be great on that one. I'll have to talk to him.
All right, good. We'll talk about, actually, we could talk in about 10 minutes about that. Because I'm going to say goodnight to everybody on behalf of Marianne Howard and the Shadow of a Baseman with Ann Walsh. Can't forget Annie. By the way, how's she doing?
Good.
Yeah.
On behalf of Psychic Shirley Bolstock, I'm Psychic Mina Mangelo. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.